I suddenly had this random idea. What if I sew my fall outfits instead of buying them? So it's gonna be just me and my grandma's old sewing machine and a couple of easy patterns I found online. But wait, before I start, I want to let you know that I'm still a beginner at sewing, so I made sure to pick projects that are easy to sew. As you can see, these are all beginner friendly patterns. Hopefully, that will help with kind of building up my confidence in sewing. I forgot to mention what pattern I'll be using for this project. It's a pattern by Tiana's Closet and it is a free pattern. So if you're on a budget, I think this pattern would be a really nice choice. I'll leave the link in the description. Before I start assembling my pattern, I do want to let you know that I sized up only by one size. So I was originally a size extra small in bust, waist, hip. However, I measured my cross shoulder and I was a size extra small, so I ended up going with size extra small. I have already printed all of the pattern pages. There are 40 pages to assemble, which is gonna take quite a long time. And yeah, let's go ahead and assemble this. I started by checking the test square to make sure the pattern was printed correctly, and once I made sure it was printed at the right scale, I spent forever cutting the borders off every single page. Honestly, it felt like a full workout before the sewing even started, but yeah, then I taped all the pages together. I just want to show you how much space this is taking. If you are planning on using this pattern, keep in mind that you will need a big space to assemble the pattern. Ta-da! After a lot of back pain, I have my pattern pieces cut out, and as you can tell, the back piece is slightly bigger in length than the back piece, which is correct. While I was cutting out the pattern pieces, I realized that the length of the pattern piece was a bit too long for me, and I checked in the website. It says that the average height of the pattern pieces is for people that are 168 centimeters, and I am 150, which is a big difference. There's like a 20 centimeter difference, so I'll need to shorten the length of the dress. And there's other things that I want to change about this pattern. So it has front pockets, which I didn't really like the look of. So I'm thinking of making inseam pockets. The fabric I will be using for this project is this really lightweight black cotton. I have the back piece laid out on the fabric, and before I start cutting, I wanted to show you how I shorten the length of the dress. So the way I shortened the length of the dress was basically just fold the bottom part in, and that's basically it. I measured from top till the bottom and made sure that it's the right size or the length that I need it to be because I do want this dress to be all the way till my ankles. It was time to cut the fabric, and to make my life easier, I got myself an electric scissors. And oh my goodness, this thing is life changing. It's so much faster than using normal scissors or a rotary cutter. I love it. It's literally my new best friend. For the neck facing, the pattern says to add fusible interfacing, and I actually learned a trick from Seamwork where she's sharing 10 tricks. I'll leave the video in the description if you want a step-by-step guide about this trick. But yeah, instead of cutting the interfacing and fabric separately and then ironing them together, you can just interface the fabric first, then trace your pattern piece on top. That way, you already have your neck facings ready to go. I think it's much easier this way. In the pattern, it says to use elastic that's about 3 centimeters wide, but I don't like wide elastics, so instead I'll just use a 1 centimeter elastic, and I made the casing smaller. Let's see how this goes. It is the next day, and as you can tell, it's kind of coming together. Yesterday, I spent the day just cutting out the fabric. I even made spaghetti straps because I do want to add bow ties to the v-neck. I think that's going to look super cute. And yeah, now we can move on to the next step. For my next step, I'm planning on doing a zigzag stitch all around the pattern pieces only because the fabric is fraying a lot and that's bothering me. It's making a mess everywhere in my room. And yeah, we'll go ahead and do a zigzag stitch, then we can follow the instructions that are from the pattern. As you can tell, I've made a lot of progress, which I forgot to record because I'm not used to recording, but here we are. I attached the front facing, the back facing, and I also stitched one side seam, which is in step number 2. And now we're going to move on to step number 3, which is attaching the elastic casing. I've already marked it. Now I am going to pin it in place and then top stitch. I have my elastic casing pinned, and now it's going to be time to top stitch, and then we can finally attach the elastic and see it come together. I'm so excited. Guys, the dress is coming together, and so far it's like this baggy dress, as it should be, because I have not attached the elastic in yet. I stitched the shoulder seams just to see what the dress would look like on me, and it is looking okay. Hopefully after I attach the elastic, it's gonna look even better. It's basically gonna be cinched in around the waist, and yeah, I'm thinking of attaching elastic to the end of the sleeves. Somehow the sleeves are kind of long, but that's exactly what I needed. And yeah, I'm gonna keep the length of the dress as it is because I did mention I want the length to be all the way till here. We are now going to attach the elastic into the casing and then stitch this opening closed, and then we are kind of basically going to be done. What I will do now is take my elastic and wrap it around my waist and see how tight I want the dress to be around my waist. And then let's say I want it to be all the way to here, like this tight. Make sure you don't make it too tight because you do want this dress to be like a comfy dress. It's basically up to you. If you do want it tight, then just go ahead and make it tight. But yeah, now I think I like it this much. So you're basically gonna cut to here and then feed this through the casing. So I attached a safety pin to one end of the elastic to help me feed it through the casing. You basically just guide the safety pin all the way from one end to the other. Once the elastic was in, it was time to finish things off with a clean double fold hem. I did that for both sleeves and the bottom of the dress. Okay, we almost have a completed dress, and surprisingly, this only took me 2 days to make, which as a complete beginner, I feel so proud of. Like, I made myself a dress just in 2 days? Are you kidding me? The only thing that's left to do is insert an elastic for the sleeves so it would look the same as the other sleeve. And yeah, I've already hemmed the bottom of the dress and we are basically done. The way that I make my elasticated sleeves is I basically just do a double fold hem all around the sleeves, and then I keep a little part unstitched, so this will be an opening for inserting the elastic. After I'm done inserting the elastic all the way around the sleeve, I basically sew the two ends of the elastic together, and then I can go ahead and close this opening with a straight stitch. Then we are gonna have an elasticated sleeves. I wanted the elastic to be sitting comfortably on my arms, and to make sure that I get the perfect length of the elastic for that, I first wrapped it around where the end of the sleeves would be, so that was just below my elbows. Then I attached a safety pin to one end of the elastic and started feeding it through the casing I made earlier. Once it came out the other end, I hand stitched the two ends of the elastic together to secure it. Give it a little pull test before you close the opening to make sure that it's secure. Then I closed up the opening with a straight stitch, and just like that, elasticated sleeves are done. And of course, I was feeling a little extra, so I added my handmade label. We are done with the dress, and I know you are waiting for the reveal, but I have one more thing to do. I have basically made myself a tradition, kind of, and I have to have something matching with all of my outfits, whether it's a bag or a hair accessory. I just need to have something matching going on with my outfit. It just makes me look more put together. And I do have some fabric left over from the project, so why not make a use out of those and make myself a matching hair accessory. So for the matching hair accessory, I'll be making a scrunchie, and for this project, I'm using my own pattern. It comes with 5 variations and 6 sizes. The size I'll be making today is a size small since it's suitable for my hair, and yeah, it requires only a small amount of fabric. You could basically use fabric scraps. And if you would like to support me and get this pattern, you can get on my website. I'll leave the link in the description. It comes with a video tutorial, so don't worry if you're a beginner. I love how this dress turned out. It is so comfortable and cozy, exactly what I needed for the fall season. And yeah, if your main goal is to make something comfortable, I highly recommend this pattern. Even though I wish there was more detailed instructions, I really still love this pattern. It is super easy to make, and if you're a beginner, I highly recommend that you do make this. Guys, I forgot to add inseam pockets. Oh my goodness. Let's just forget about that. I did change a few things about this pattern, so there was pockets at the front, which I did not add, and there is drawstrings on the sleeves, which I also did not add. Instead, I put an elastic. And yeah, there is supposed to be slits at the bottom. I wanted to be modest and cover up basically everything that I needed to cover up, so I did not add the slits. And yeah, you don't really need to do everything the same as the pattern. You could change up a few things if you would like to do that. Also, in my last video where I mentioned 13 free sewing patterns, in the comments of that video, I was asked by some amazing people to make a sew along video, so here I am. It's basically the reason why I'm making this video. We are done with this project, and we are also done with this project. Now it's time for the third project, and it is another pattern by Tiana's Closet. As you can tell, this pattern is a blouse. However, I want to turn it into a dress, so I will basically lengthen the bodice till I like the length of the dress, and I'll keep the sleeves as it is, and I'll keep the v-neck as it is. I'll basically keep everything as it is. I'll just lengthen the bodice until it looks like a dress. For this pattern, I also sized up by one size, just like the first project. I really liked how the first project was fitting me, so I thought I should also size up in this one. There's about 27 pages to assemble, so let's go ahead and assemble this. Once again, it was time for the pattern assembly. I know this step doesn't look exciting, and honestly, some people might even find it kind of boring, but I kinda like it. There's something comforting about laying all the pieces out, cutting and taping them together. It's the first step where the project really starts to feel real. These are all of the pattern pieces that are included in the pattern itself. However, I won't need the ruffle and the peplum since that's not the look I want to go for the dress. These are all of the pattern pieces that I'll be using to make the dress. I have also changed a few things about this pattern to make sure it fits me and I get the look that I want for the dress. I noticed that the neckline of the front bodice was a bit too deep for me, so it has this V shape, but the V shape was a bit too low for me and it wouldn't cover up what I needed to cover since I want my dress to be modest. I changed the V-neck and made it higher about 2 inches, so I added 2 inches and connected that dot to the shoulder seam. I also did the same thing to the front neck facing so it would match up with the front bodice. And you're probably wondering why I didn't cut on the cutting line. I wanted my facing to have a square shape so I would be able to fold the edges and do an invisible stitch with hand stitching. For the back neck facing, I even did the same thing as the front neck facing. So I wanted to have a square shape. I would be able to fold it and do some hand stitching for an invisible look. For the sleeves, I measured from the middle point all the way down, and it was 15 centimeters extra long for me. So I measured 15 centimeters from the edge and marked it on the pattern piece. So that's the measurement for my sleeves, and all of this is extra. So the way I adjusted the length of the sleeves was I basically, let's just pretend that this is me. I basically measured from my shoulder point all the way till where I want the length of the sleeves to be. So it was around my wrist. I measured from the shoulder point till the wrist, and it was about 50 centimeters for me. So I measured from the middle point of the pattern piece all the way down till it was 50 centimeters. So this from the middle point mark till here is 50 centimeters, and that's the length that I want for the sleeves. The fabric that I'm using for this project is a white cotton bedsheet, and guess where this bedsheet came from? From the hospital. It's a hospital bedsheet. It's a long story, but a fabric is a fabric. As long as I can make something out of it, I don't mind using a bedsheet, a hospital bedsheet. Before I start cutting through the fabric, I should go ahead and iron it. Make sure you don't skip the step. Iron your fabric before cutting out your pattern pieces. And yeah, let's go ahead and iron. There is quite a big amount of fabric, which is amazing. What is this hair doing here? And yeah, it is amazing. If something goes wrong with the dress, I can just always make another one, or I'll have extra for another project. As you can see, I have traced the back piece, and the blue line is from the pattern itself, and the pink line is what I added. I made sure that I don't forget to add pockets this time. But overall, I just added length to the bodice, so I measured from the top of the shoulder all the way till wherever I want the length of the dress to be. So I want the length of my dress to be all the way till my ankles. So I measured from the top of my shoulder till my ankles, and it was about 50 inches. So I measured 50 inches from the top and marked that down. And yeah. And for the overall look of the dress, instead of going for a straight line dress, I wanted an A-line dress. So I drew my line at an angle to give me an A-line shape. So I did the same thing for the front bodice. I turned it into a dress, then stitched the two shoulder seams with the neck facing, and things weren't looking good after this. The fabric was so stiff, it didn't feel like a dress anymore. It was more like a costume. So I decided to skip the long sleeves and turned it into short sleeves with a lightweight fabric, which did help a little, but I still didn't like how the dress was looking. And as you can see, I made a little mistake while attaching the sleeves, but honestly, I didn't even bother fixing it because I knew I wasn't going to wear the dress anyway. When I tried on the dress, I realized the silhouette and the length were actually perfect. So even though the fabric completely ruined the vibe, I'm definitely making this dress again with the same pattern, just in a softer fabric, because I really love the fitting of the pattern itself. After putting on the dress, I think it's much better, but however, I wouldn't wear it, so what's the point? What is the point? Honestly, I didn't even feel like putting on the dress. I knew I would hate it, and guess what? I hate it. Guys, I don't know if I'm overthinking this, but the fabric is just too stiff. I don't know what I was thinking. I honestly don't know what was going through my head when I decided to use this fabric for a dress. Like what I saw on Pinterest was completely different, only because they were using a different fabric, and I didn't really think of that. Even before I started out on this project, I had some inspiration pictures saved on Pinterest, thinking my dress is gonna look the same as the one in Pinterest, but guess what? I didn't think about the weight of my fabric, and now I have this really stiff dress. I don't know, maybe styling this would make it better. Before I style it, I want to let you know that there's nothing wrong with this pattern. There's just everything wrong with my decisions. Next time, I'm definitely going with a flowy fabric to give the dress a bit more drape and, some flowiness. I have these ballet flats that I wear all the time, and since they're white, I thought it would go well with the dress. The ballet flats actually made the dress look a little tiny bit cuter, but I still wasn't convinced it was wearable. And of course, don't forget the matching scrunchie. And to make it even more modest, I will wear it with a scarf. I really love the scarf. It's definitely giving me a vintage vibe. You know those old carpets or rugs they used to have back in the days? It has the same look to it, and I really love that. Even though I did a really good job with styling this dress, I still would not wear it. I definitely learned my lesson though. Next time I'm using a soft flowy fabric and finishing the neckline with bias tape instead of using the facing. So was this a failed project? Yes, definitely. But hey, let's look on the bright side. I learned a lot, and that's a win in my book. You're still here watching? If you are, I want you to do me a little favor. Drop this emoji in the comments so I know there are actually people watching until the end. And if you are one of those people, I love you.